Something that seems to confuse a lot of people is what type of exercise they should be doing to get the best physical and mental results.
And it's no wonder there's a wealth of often contradictory information out there. And for the novice, a bewildering array of methods, classes, equipment, approaches, and even schools of thought. In short, there's option overload.
Therefore, in this podcast, we're going to give you the answers in our no-nonsense style.
Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. I'm always aware that actually you start it. Every single time. I might start it this time. Hello, welcome to the Midlife Mentors podcast with me, Claire.
And me, James. Does that make you feel better?
Yeah, it does. Not that I'm competitive. No.
All right, today we're going to be talking about something that comes up a lot when we're speaking to the general public, people who want to work with us, people who are working with us.
Yeah.
They like, should I be doing cardio or weight? So we're going to dive into that. But before we get into all that, and of course all the science around it, and leave you with some helpful tips at the end, just update you.
I wonder what he's going to say here. I don't even know what he's about to update you on.
Settling back into London, the weather's got warmer, things have opened. We've taken a stroll through Camden and seen that come back to life. We've been down in Primrose Hill. We've been into Soho and seen all the outdoor restaurants and bars.
That was lovely to see things come back to life. Because obviously we're very, very lucky. I keep saying this, but we were lucky to be in Marbella. We only got locked down for 2 weeks, but they were sensible. They put a curfew on us out there, but actually there was pretty much life the whole time. People were out and socialising carefully, but nothing ever really, really shut. So it was actually nice. I think it was a bit of a culture shock when we first got back here because we were back in London only for about 5 days. So goodness knows what it was like for all the rest of you that were in England, well, the UK basically in lockdown. But it was a real culture shock, wasn't it? Where everything was closed and you could really feel the energy. So being here when everything opened up was a really beautiful thing to see.
I know. I actually wanted to share something because it might help people. And interestingly, I saw this morning the New York Times has even written a piece on this, like how many people are feeling this kind of like sense of malaise, this kind of like failure to launch. They just can't find themselves to be able to get going.
An apathy and a boredom and a not really understanding what they want to do next or the right steps to take. I actually wrote a post about this yesterday. We'll probably end up doing a podcast about this, but the New York Times did a piece on it, didn't they?
Yeah, so I want to share because I think like Claire and I'm just speaking for me at the moment personally, it certainly felt like that. I think
and me, we're always aligned.
We've really struggled, I think, with the whole culture shock of coming back, as Claire was saying, but also the upheaval of uprooting again and moving back here and settling back here. Being really busy with a lot of projects and then obviously still being busy, but suddenly like having breathing space, but not having planned ahead and being a new environment, kind of juddering almost to a stop and going, I'm not quite sure what I should be doing next or what I'm feeling. So I want to share that, that even comes up for us and did come up for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what's really helped it was to acknowledge, we always coach our clients is like stopping because momentum breeds momentum, and so we're really conscious of that fact. Like if you're tired, rest, of course, but it's what you do next that counts. So we took a time out and we went to a pub beer garden with a bit of pen and paper, and it's like, what do we want to do next? What are some of our goals? And even just like breaking down what are really simple body goals we want to achieve? What are some of our work goals? And we started just writing things on a bit of paper. I just wanted to share this because if you are feeling that kind of like malaise and struggling to get going, like I know many people are, then what categorically really helps is making a plan of some sort around something. And here's the important bit, and executing on it. Like, as soon as I'd start writing it down and we had like a plan, I felt almost instantly better. And then, as soon as I started doing things that were on that plan, wow, the change in my energy is just incredible. So I just wanted to share that. If you are struggling, make a plan and start executing on it.
Yeah, and I think actually what will be really helpful for a lot of people, I mean, this is born out of what James has just said, but we will more than likely actually next week, I'm putting this out there, I haven't even discussed this with James, but just because he's mentioned that, I think alongside keeping going and not stopping, and momentum breeds momentum, there is also the flip side of that James has also done in the last 2 weeks, which is actually try not to hold on too tight and try not to seek the answers too much. That's my email going off, pinging in the background. Like not holding on really, really tight, just allowing yourself to not know what the next steps might be, but at the same time doing what you can with the steps that you can take. So I would really, really like to do a podcast on that next week. And give you some actionable tips, because the response, we put an email out about it yesterday to our email list, and I put it on my Facebook page, and the response was really, really nice. And I think it's completely in line with what James was saying. Everyone feels really, really thrown about in the wind at the moment, and actually as human beings we want to hold on to certainty, we want to have clarity, and actually sometimes that just isn't going to happen. And actually acting from that place is a place of desperation, and that's when actually you might make not the wrong decision, but not necessarily the right decision or the more informed decision, because you're trying to get some comfort and some clarity so desperately that you might take the wrong turn. So sometimes just actually resting but doing what you can is a fine balance. So I think that might be something that we talk about next week, but that's not what we wanted to talk about this week.
No, we just want to share that. But this week we're going to talk about this. So cardio, and actually this morning in the gym in our workout, Claire and I had a lively discussion. She was like, "This is just boring." But I think the point is we live and breathe this stuff, so we know it. But actually, when we stop to think about it, like so many people do ask us about this. Even the other day, someone was like, "Oh, can I just get really sculpted arms and shoulders and look really good if I just walk a lot?" Well, sadly, no. So we are going to talk about this, cardio versus weights. And people often have this very binary perception of it. That it's one or the other. Guess what? You need both.
Yeah, and I again have loads of experience of this. I didn't really like exercise at all, but when I used to go into a gym, I used to just do cardio. I used to have PTs coming up to me going, "You might want to do some weights." Nope, but you've been on there for 45 minutes, Claire. No, that's absolutely fine. And there's a confidence thing around that as well, right? You go in, you know what you're doing. Sometimes on cardio, might not necessarily know what you're doing on the weights machines and how to get results. And that's why I love what I do with James now, because I was one of those people. I had no confidence, didn't know what was going to help, and wondered why the hell my body shape wasn't changing from just doing cardio all the time. But here's the thing. No, just walking. And we don't mean this to shame anyone. Actually, it's really, really great. If you're not doing anything right now, getting up and walking and getting your steps in is amazing. However, if you're asking the simple question of, is it going to change my body shape? We got asked this, and my blunt, brutal answer was just a no. It was just a no and a full stop.
I could just caveat something here, though. We're using weights because it's an easy term for everyone to understand, but this doesn't mean, we're not saying you have to go to the gym and pump iron. Majority of our clients actually work out at home using body weight or very simple, inexpensive equipment like kettlebells and bands. So just caveat that. But yes, and when people come to us to ask about working with us, this is something you see all the time. They've hit midlife, they're doubling down on the cardio they're doing before. So they're like, "Oh, I'm spending like 60 minutes on the treadmill 4 times a week. My body shape's not changing." And you're like, of course not. because you're missing some vital things. And there's also some really important health reasons you want to be doing the weights as well.
And it's so exciting to see when clients come back to us and go, oh my goodness, I've got a bum. My bum is lifting. My waist is going in. I can't believe after just 3 or 4 weeks that this is happening. I've never had any shape before. I've always been straight up and straight down, blah, 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 blah. And it is so wonderful when people don't necessarily want to do that at the beginning. They're like, oh, I don't want to really do. But then they see the results and then they start loving that most of the time more than cardio, or just the same as cardio.
So let's just make something else clear right at the outset. We're talking about, I hate the term average person, but what the person doing it for health goals and aesthetic goals. Clearly, if you have some sort of specific, sport-specific goal, like running a marathon, you want to be doing a little bit of weights, but the majority of your training is going to be cardio based. On the flip side, if you want to be like a competitive bodybuilder, you're probably not doing much cardio and a lot of weights. So we're not talking about sports specific here. We're talking about for the average person. The other thing we'll just caveat as is, this is giving you best advice from the science and research, but also one of the most important things when it comes to exercise is adherence. That is that you actually get up and you do it regularly. So from that perspective, find the thing you enjoy. If you're listening to this and you're like, I love my dance class and I just will never want to do body weight exercises or touch a kettlebell, then that's fine. I'd ask you to suspend judgment until you've listened to the rest of the podcast, understood the reasons why it is important to do this type of training as well.
Absolutely.
But do the thing you love. Do the thing you love because you're more likely to do it. And of course, moving your body is way better doing something than not doing anything at all.
Something is better than nothing. We're hardwiring our brain for new behaviour and new habits if we're doing that.
So let's talk about why you need both forms of exercise. Well,
the NHS say this now as well.
Even the NHS say this. So for years in England, the NHS, our Health Service and Public Health England, used to advise that all adults should, exercise to the point they got out of breath. I think it was 2 or 3 times a week.
I think 3 times a week, they said in the end.
So cardio, when you think of it, is things like, you're running, you're swimming, you're cycling, HIIT training, dance class, that stuff. And this is really great for building your overall fitness level. So what do we mean by that? It means that we're increasing our VO2 max, so our lung capacity. When we're breathing hard, when we're struggling to get the oxygen in to power our muscles, we actually grow new little lung capillaries. So increasing our lung capacity, which is a great thing. Also, of course, moving, we're burning calories. Depending on the type of exercise we do, so if you're looking for fat loss, a lot of stuff that's kind of around the 40-minute mark isn't really that effective. So what we call steady state cardio, which is brisk walking or slow jogging, is very effective fat burning, but only after a certain point of time. So you have to do it for long periods of time, 90 minutes plus, before you're actually going to make a difference to burning fat.
And there's loads of research now that's coming out around actual, what we've been teaching midlife clients to do for a really, really long time, which is the HIIT training. There is so much research coming out now that is the best. Not the best. The best. Oh, I hate all of this stuff. Oh, don't do this, do that. But it is being proven to be a really, really effective way for midlifers to get best bang for their buck.
That's what I was going to say. Bang for your buck.
Oh, we use the same phrases all the time.
Because for us midlifers, we do tend to be time poor. Or at least we'll use lack of time as an excuse to not do stuff. Here's the thing. If someone said to you, you need to walk 90 minutes 4 times a week, that's a big chunk of your week.
Or if they said you have to do
3 HIIT sessions of 20 minutes. Boom.
Which one would you choose?
And the thing with HIIT is it's also super effective at not only building your VO2 max, your overall fitness, burning fat, because you're going at such intensity with it, which people always forget the first R intensity, you get what we call the afterburner effect. You're creating an oxygen debt. Remember, our muscles work off a blend of oxygen and glucose energy. So if we're not getting enough oxygen in, our bodies will speed up our metabolism, trying to make up for that debt for something between 24 and 48 hours afterwards, depending on how hard you've worked in the individual. Not only that, HIIT as well builds endurance, and it's proven that people who do endurance activities build certain types of enzymes. We create enzymes in our body that actually help us convert more energy in our body for these endurance type activities.
Well, that's what I was going to say, actually. Some people are like, well, I run, or I do this and I do that and I do endurance sport. You know, I get on my bicycle and I cycle. And actually we say do HIIT as well, because honestly, that what we want is intensity for you. So when we say go in at intensity, it's intensity for the benchmark of your fitness levels, and that will improve more quickly than you could ever imagine doing HIIT. Honestly, we've seen it time and time again, but it massively improves your endurance because you are sucking in that air and you're pushing yourself to intensity. And we say the torque test, where you're like doing HIIT, guess what? Your VO2 max is getting bigger and bigger, your capacity is getting bigger, and actually your endurance will become stronger. It's just really, really exciting to see when people come to you with all these preconceived ideas, understandably, and then they start seeing all the results and the benefits. And I'm running faster, I'm doing this and that.
Some people get scared. They're like, oh, but I'm used to doing 60 minutes on a treadmill. Is just doing this 20-minute thing going to work? Like, absolutely, it's going to work better.
Well, I was an example of that. I used to be, I still am a spin instructor, but I do all my spin classes. I do my 45-minute insanity classes, all of those sorts of things. And actually, honestly, my HIIT workouts get better results because also what I was probably doing, which we've talked about in another podcast, is overloading my central nervous system. So when you do a lot of endurance, long, lengthy endurance sports, what you're doing potentially is overloading your central nervous system and spiking that cortisol. So again, that's another reason we don't want to be doing loads and loads of that, or only that at midlife, because our stress level cortisol, our stress hormone cortisol, is already super, super high.
The other thing, if we're doing the same thing over and over, the beauty about HIIT is we can vary it. We can throw in different exercise, different moves, different working periods, different resting periods. So it keeps your body guessing. Our bodies are amazing at adapting. So, the same thing, if you just get on the treadmill 60 minutes 4 times a week, after about a month, your body's like, yeah, I've got this. It's easy. I know what's coming. I know what to do. It starts being less effective. With HIIT and mixing it up, it's just keep guessing all the time. So you keep getting the results. And how we train and how most of our clients we work with train tends to be, 3 HIIT sessions a week, for example, that they do first thing in the morning when they get up, because it's then out the way. They've got all that feel-good endorphins energizing for the day. And then at the weekend, they'll do the other thing they love. Some of them go for long walks in country, some go for runs, some go for bike rides, some go swimming.
Some get on their Peloton.
It's a really good way to balance it out.
The old Peloton. That
is the cardio side. Now, weights. So if you haven't done weights before, do not be scared is the first thing to say. We do know that when you walk into a gym and you see the weights area, it can look really intimidating. I mean, just the free weights on their own. But when you also, some of the machines, we've got machine weights as well.
And you've got the men.
They kind of look like medieval
pumping around,
instruments.
Walking around like peacocks. We get you. I get it. I used to be like that. I used to think, oh no, that's not for me.
Yeah, but don't be intimidated. And also don't think, like we said at the start, don't think you have to be in the gym pumping out. You can do this at home. Our clients get amazing results with like short workouts at home, just using their bodyweight kettlebells and bands. So why do we need resistance training? We just told you all about benefits of cardio. You might be thinking, well, that's great. Why do I need resistance training? Well, at midlife, as we age, we've got all these hormonal changes going on which lead to physiological changes in the body. In a nutshell, we have declining levels of our sex hormones, estrogen and testosterone, and declining levels of human growth hormone. Now, all of those play a role in basically supporting our cell regeneration, keeping our tissues like growing and active. Obviously, as they decline, the effects are that we end up with reducing muscle mass, which means reduced strength, which means reducing metabolism. This is what people forget. If you're carrying less muscle, your metabolic rate is going to fall and be lower. So if you're eating the same amount, you're going to put fat on. The other cocktail of changes going on mean we're more likely to store fat, particularly around the belly area and the hips. Would be becoming more insulin resistant. And we're losing our bone density as well. So the other thing is we're losing bone density as we age, which, of course, isn't good news. We have to think ahead, when we're 80, 90, do we want to let ourselves have wasted away and have weak bones and be quite immobile? Or do we want to preserve our strength and our bone density and be able to lead a more active life?
Because it is not about the length of your life. It is about the quality of your life. And you need to be thinking about that right now. The best time was yesterday. The second best time is right now.
Exactly. So when we do what we'll call here load-bearing exercise, so whether that's just squatting at home with nothing, or holding a water bottle, or being in the gym and a lot with like massive weights, bench pressing, basically you're overloading your body. When we put stress on a body like that, it's actually making our bones denser, and of course it's building our muscle.
Yeah, and I would just say on this, the reason I alluded to this earlier, the reason I loved personal training, I do miss doing it in person. I really do. And, you know, I get so much out of doing what we do online with clients and the coaching and stuff. But there was always something really magical about seeing, and I'm going to say about women particularly, but, you know, I obviously trained more women. Seeing them come into a gym environment, or not, or me going around there with some kettlebells and bands and things, and actually seeing them feel more powerful. There's a connection between building that strength and that power, and then how that then connects with how you feel about yourself, and reclaiming control and reclaiming your power. It was very, very much about giving women their power back. Yes, through cardio and getting fit, but actually through sculpting their body, because there is no way, like we said at the beginning, there is no way you will sculpt your body and your body shape will change just with doing even just cardio, even just HIIT stuff. You need to be doing some sort of body weight or resistance training. And seeing those women, you know, in whatever circumstances they were in their life, they could have been divorced, they could have lost their jobs, they could have been a new mum and they've lost their identity, they could be an older mum and their kids have flown the nest. They just, you know, actually reclaiming something for them, giving themselves permission. And that connection between seeing how psychologically they changed with how strong they got very, very quickly is a beautiful thing. So more than physical, it's the mental resilience it gave people.
Yeah. Oh, interesting you mentioned mental there, Claire, because I was going to mention, we're obviously talking here very much about the physical effects and future-proofing your body. But there is research out there that suggests weight training in particular actually slows down aging processes in the brain as well. There's something about, lifting, pushing your body, thinking about the discipline of it, that actually helps. They're showing it's like linked to lower instances of Alzheimer's and slower brain aging.
Absolutely.
So it's mental health as well as physical.
It's achieving something, you know, like, and I know I was a couple of dress sizes bigger when I started doing weight training. And yes, I did some more cardio, but it was the weight training and seeing my body change, and it just gave me that sense of purpose back. And it was something really, really small. And sometimes the rest of your life and the rest of your world is completely out of your control. But what you can do is give yourself permission to look after the one home you'll ever have. It's the one thing that you cannot take for granted, and it's the one thing that you can take your power back very quickly.
So people get very confused about weight. So it's like, I don't know where. So how often should I be doing it? So we just give you some general guidelines here. Basically, to see a difference in your body, you should hit each muscle group twice a week, ideally. And then it's going to depend on your lifestyle, right? So if you think you only want to do a resistance workout twice a week, that's going to look like a full body. So by that, you'll work your legs with something like, a squatting type motion. You'll work your chest with a press up, pressing, shoulders, etc. Important thing is you also want to leave recovery time. So this will sound a bit strange. Your muscles actually grow while you're recovering, not while you're lifting. What happens is when we lift the intensity, when we overload the muscles, we create micro tears in the muscle fibers. And then as they heal back slightly stronger, which is where we get the increase in size and obviously the progressive increase in strength from. So what you don't want to do is do full body on a Tuesday, then again on a Wednesday. It'll look something like me on a Tuesday and again on Thursday, so you have adequate recovery.
One of the things I would say, another thing that women always said, I don't want to bulk. It is not, listen, genetically, I'm a bit of a freak. And my quads, and I see this a lot with women, my quads get very big quite quickly. So it's not that you're not going to get bigger in size in some parts of your body, but what you want is a good trainer or a good coach that actually says, okay, let's not focus on those bits, because they'll work out quite quickly. Especially for women, we want to lift our butts, we want to have nice pert glutes, we want to shapely shoulders, all of that kind of thing. And it's actually about getting the right kind of resistance training there. But what I wanted to say is, it really does upset me when women avoid this because they think they're going to bulk. We don't have enough testosterone to look like we're some bodybuilder. And also, a lot of the women that you see that do look massive are taking an enormous amount of steroids and human growth hormones.
Yeah, I say the same for the guys as well. Most guys want to put on a lot of muscle, but it's actually quite hard. You have to be in a calorie surplus. As we age, obviously our testosterone levels are declining. So, interestingly, guys, lifting does help preserve testosterone levels for longer. So that's another reason to do it. But unless you're supplementing in some way, you will find it hard to put on like massive amounts of muscle. But you will put on decent amounts.
I mean, I train 5 times a week, resistance training, weight training, and it's impossible for me to get massive at all.
So, Claire just said that. If I was to come to this point, I said each muscle group twice a week. So if you were doing full body, that would be 2 workouts. But obviously, they're going to be longer. You might be, I just want to do short workouts more often. And then you can start splitting with like, I'll do upper body, lower body. I'll do a push movement, a pull movement. You can basically break it down, and again, you can be in like a 20, 30 minute workout with resistance that is going to get you results. So remember, like, how would you do it? Let's talk about what a week could look like. You might have 2 to 3 HIIT/cardio sessions and maybe 4 resistance sessions as well, and they could be like on alternate days, or you might want to stack them, but short. And here's the thing: if you're doing like a weight session, then your kind of weights recovery is while you're doing a bit of HIIT, then the next weight session, so you're making sure that you're not just hitting yourself over and over at the same time.
Yeah, hitting yourself. But yeah, I mean, there's lots and lots of, we won't go into too much, we don't want to confuse you too much, but that's what coaches are there for. That's what mentors and
the way you structure the program.
The way you structure it is really, really important. So what we're going to do now is go into just finishing off with
5 top tips.
5 top tips. Number 1 is do what you love. Adherence is the most important factor in exercise, so find something that you enjoy.
Number 2, for best results, mix up cardio training and resistance training in a way that suits your lifestyle.
Number 3, do include some form of resistance training. Obviously, we've said this for your health. You don't need a gym. You can do it at home with your body weight or simple equipment like kettlebells and resistance bands.
4, remember to factor in adequate recovery. Don't work your body hard day after day. It will induce a stress response and negate the results you're looking for.
And number 5, have fun and enjoy it. Listen, results happen over time. You're not just going to wake up in the morning and go, I love this, or, look, I'm getting results. You need, momentum breeds momentum, but you need to be consistent with it. But we promise you, once you start feeling better, it's more about the energy. Here's the thing about cardio as well, and all of this stuff that we've talked about. It's about maintaining really, really good internal health. So it's not just about, your VO2 max. It's about heart health. It's about protecting your body from illness in the future. This is why we're doing it. And that is a lifestyle choice. It is not a destination. It's a lifestyle choice, and it should be that way. The physical stuff is a lovely byproduct.
So remember, your body is your home. Look after it,
yes,
and it will look after you.
Yay! We hope you found that helpful, guys. Guys and girls out there. What we will do, we will put a link to our private Facebook group in the show notes. It's the Midlife Mentors community. This is where we share loads more stuff around this. We do a weekly coffee morning where you can jump on and ask us any questions about anything, but keep it clean. And yeah, we just love having everyone in there because it's a group of like-minded people, and we're sharing lots more tips like this all the time. So hope to see you in there. I'll put the link in the show notes.
Thank you, and see you next time.
See you soon. Lots of love. Bye.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah.